You are an expert emotional storyteller specializing in heartfelt single dad stories. I am attaching a .txt file containing a full story script. Please rewrite the entire script in English according to these requirements. Keep the core plot, key events, emotional beats, character relationships, and ending 95% the same as the original. Significantly improve the overall quality. Make the story more engaging, natural, cinematic, and professionally written. Use show, don't tell technique. Reveal emotions through actions, small details, body language, and dialogue rather than direct narration. Make all dialogues more natural, realistic, and age-appropriate, especially the child's lines. Improve pacing, sentence variety, and emotional flow. Remove repetition and overly dramatic telling. Format the entire rewritten script with proper paragraph breaks and logical line spacing for excellent readability. Change all character names and some location names to fresh, new ones. Maintain approximately the same word count as the original story. After rewriting, output only the new full script. Do not add any explanations, comments, or additional text. Neudung kicked ban. The conference room door slammed shut. Veronica Lawson stood at the head of the table, her sharp gaze cutting through the assembled executives like a blade. "This financial analysis is garbage," she said, her voice low and lethal. "We're 2 weeks from the IPO, and you're telling me the numbers don't add up." Ethan Kramer, the lead financial analyst, shifted in his seat. "I'll need a few days too." A voice from the back of the room interrupted. "You don't need days. The problem is in working capital. You've conflated it with depreciation." Every head turned. Daniel Brooke stood near the door, mop in hand, water bucket at his feet. Veronica's eyes narrowed. "You know finance. Leave now." The room fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. They had no idea what was about to happen. Veronica Lawson had built her empire on 2 principles: trust no one and never show weakness. At 35, she was the youngest CEO in Lawson and Reed's 70-year history. The Wall Street Journal had called her the lioness of corporate America. Forbes had put her on their cover, but those who worked closest to her knew the truth. She was brilliant, yes, ruthless, absolutely. But beneath the tailored suits and the icy composure was a woman who had been betrayed once too often. 5 years ago, she trusted her business partner with a major acquisition. He'd sold her out to a competitor, nearly destroying the company. She'd clawed her way back, but the wound never healed. Now she trusted only herself. Her office was on the 42nd floor, all glass and steel, overlooking the city like a fortress. She arrived at 6 every morning and left after midnight. She had no husband, no children, no friends, just work, just control, just survival. Daniel Brooks lived in a different world entirely. 40 floors below Veronica's office, he pushed a mop across marble floors that reflected lights he'd never reach. He was 39, but he looked older. His hands were calloused, his shoulders permanently bent from years of work that required him to disappear. No one looked at janitors, that was the point. But Daniel hadn't always been invisible. 8 years ago, he'd been a rising star at J.P. Morgan, one of the sharpest financial analysts in New York. His models had saved clients millions. His insights had shaped billion-dollar deals. He'd had a corner office, a six-figure salary, and a future that seemed limitless. Then his wife, Elena, got sick. Cancer, aggressive, expensive. Their insurance covered some of it, but not enough. Daniel drained their savings, sold their apartment, took out loans he couldn't afford. He worked around the clock, trying to earn enough to pay for experimental treatments. But the system wasn't built for people like him. Elena died on a Tuesday morning in a hospital room that smelled like bleach and broken promises. Daniel held her hand until it went cold. 3 weeks later, he quit his job. He couldn't go back to that world. Couldn't pretend that the numbers on a spreadsheet mattered when the only number that mattered was 0. 0 heartbeats, 0 future, 0 hope. He moved to a smaller city, found work as a night janitor, and focused on the one thing that still mattered, his daughter. Sophie was 7 now, with her mother's dark curls and her father's quiet intensity. She was smart, curious, and heartbreakingly kind. Every morning, Daniel walked her to school. Every afternoon, he picked her up. They'd go to the park or the library or just sit on the couch and draw together. Sophie loved to draw. She filled notebooks with crayon sketches of superheroes and princesses and families that looked like theirs. One day, she drew a picture of Daniel in a cape. "That's you, Daddy," she said. "You're a secret superhero." Daniel smiled, but his chest ached. He didn't feel like a superhero. He felt like a man who'd failed at everything that mattered. At night, after Sophie went to sleep, he'd put on his janitorial uniform and head to Lawson and read. He'd clean the floors, empty the trash, and listen to the hum of a building that never truly rested. Sometimes late at night, he'd walk past the conference rooms and see the whiteboards covered in financial projections. His fingers would twitch. He'd want to pick up a marker to fix the errors he saw, to prove that he still remembered how to do the thing he'd once been great at. But he never did. That life was over. He'd made his choice. Sophie had taped one of her drawings inside his locker at work. It showed 3 people holding hands, a tall man, a small girl, and a woman with a smile. Daniel never asked who the woman was supposed to be. He was afraid of the answer. Veronica's world was slipping. The IPO was supposed to be her crowning achievement, the deal that would cement her legacy. But the financial model was broken, and no one on her team could figure out why. She'd spent 3 days reviewing the numbers herself, searching for the flaw. Nothing. Now, standing in the conference room, she felt the walls closing in. And then this janitor, this nobody, had the audacity to speak up. She opened her mouth to unleash the full force of her fury. But Lucas Reed, her co-founder, and the only person in the building whose opinion she occasionally respected, raised a hand. "Let him talk," Lucas said. Veronica's jaw tightened. "You cannot be serious. What's the harm?" Lucas leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. "If he's wrong, we lose 30 seconds. If he's right, we save the deal." Daniel didn't wait for permission. He walked to the whiteboard, picked up a marker, and began to write. His handwriting was neat, precise. He drew a quick diagram labeling columns: revenue, expenses, working capital, depreciation. Then he circled 2 numbers here, he said. "You've counted depreciation twice. Once as an operating expense and again in your capital adjustments. It's inflating